Hey there, viewers, and welcome to the Repair It, Don't Wreck It channel. Today we're working on my good friend Artem's 2008 Pontiac G5-GT. First thing we're going to do is lift the car up. We've decided to use the emergency jack to see how it worked. So far, so good. There is a little bit of rust underneath the car, and at the pinch weld, it's in a little worse shape, but overall, it worked out. Once the car is lifted up, before we remove the tire, we need to put a jack stand underneath the subframe to make sure everything is safe. Even though these jacks aren't too bad, you never know. This lower control arm bolt is the trickiest part of the job. If you get this thing out, you are home free. 2 weeks ago, we sprayed the whole area with WD-40. The threads look in pretty good shape. We were reenacting this part. We had forgotten to film the heating up of the bolt. We had literally heated the top and the bottom, and this thing came out so easy, I was in shock. I thought at the end of the day, like a lot of videos I've looked at, we'd have to cut it out. Artem is doing most of the work, and I'm doing most of the videoing. For 2008, that bolt is in very good condition. The next thing was to remove the bolt that holds the ball joint on. Fairly simple. It was in good shape and came off easy. You can see it's freed up. There's two other bolts that hold the third part or the third section of this control arm. You're going to see some things that look a little off, but in order to get some video and keep everybody's hand and face out of the way, things are going to look a little bit funny. This is not a retake. This is how easy this control arm came out. This is not a bad job if you don't have rust. If you do, it will really test your patience. So as it came out, you can see the bushing sleeve literally fell out. While there is some damage there from the heat, there's a lot of cracks on it. Now, for some reason, with all the excitement of getting this thing out, I started filming upside down. The problem I was having was to get the control arm started, I needed about 1/8 of an inch. So I just pried up the lower part of that bracket, just a hair, so the lower control arm would slip in and we wouldn't have to fight it all day long. From what I've read, after replacing this suspension component, you should get an alignment. For most modern cars, the only adjustment that is available would be to do the toe. Once we had the control arm mocked up and pretty well in place, we were having trouble getting the main bolt, which we had taken out with the heat, to line up. We discovered that because of the lower control arm was hanging down, it was on an angle. So as you can see, when we are using the jack to lift it up, the control arm is starting to straighten out. Once we got it up high enough, the bolt would align nicely and could be threaded in. We're taking our time as we don't want to cross-thread anything and strip that nut on the top of the frame where it's inside the cage, right there. You can see that cage in the bolt. So we're just still tightening it up through the rusty area of the vehicle. And then once we were satisfied that we had good contact, we could use the impact to run it up. Now that we have everything hand tight, we're torquing up these bolts. The first bolt is 85 foot-pounds. In metric, it's a 14 by 2 by 140 millimeters long, and the grade is 10.9. In imperial, it would be close to 9/16 by 5.5 inches long, coarse thread, and a grade 8 bolt. The bolt for the ball joint is 37 foot-pounds. Again, you're going to see some funny things going on. I'm filming, Artem's over my shoulder, so don't criticize us for using the wrong extensions And why would you do that when you could do it from the other side? There's a reason for this. So here's the other two bolts that hold the third section of this control arm to the frame. These bolts are 41 foot-pounds, and we could really only torque one, because to get the torque wrench beside the torsion bar was almost impossible. So we got one on, and then using that feel, we used it for the other side, which we didn't use the torque wrench. I forgot to mention, before we torqued all of the bolts, we put the tire back on and let the car down onto the ground. This way we were tightening them up in the driving position, which is important. A close-up of the control arm out of the car, the old one obviously. The damage there on the bottom is from the heat, but the cracks were from wear and tear. This thing was ready to be replaced. I suppose you could repair this lower control arm, but for do-it-yourselfers, it's not worth it. If you liked the video, consider a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and as always, repair it. Don't wreck it. Thanks for watching.